very disturbing to hear these things or to kind of see some of the receipts that appear to be connected to it. And I think with the taxpayer...
Stay tuned. Because we're about to dive into the utter chaos that is Dalton, Illinois, and its so-called super mayor,
She has become a walking, talking reality TV disaster.
She has become a walking,
it's all unfolding
talking
right
reality
before our eyes.
TV disaster.
Henyard's campaign for re-election has hardly been about engaging with voters
Henyard's
or focusing on the
re-election
issues that
campaign
matter.
has been anything
Instead,
but focused
she's
on
been giving away
engaging with
thousands of
voters or
turkeys right
addressing
before
real
Thanksgiving.
issues.
An obvious PR
Instead,
stunt so blatant
she
and
has been
transparent
handing
that
out
it's almost
thousands of
comical.
turkeys for
However,
Thanksgiving, an
this isn't
obvious
funny when
PR
you're a
stunt
resident
so
of Dalton,
blatant it's almost
watching your
comical.
hard-earned tax dollars vanish.
But
While
for
the mayor
Dalton
plays
residents,
Santa Claus,
there
it's
is
clear
nothing
that
funny
Henyard's
about
leadership
watching
is a
their
political thriller in
hard-earned tax
itself,
dollars vanish
but not
while
in
the
the way she
mayor
would like to
plays
portray it.
Santa Claus.
After winning her first term
Henyard's
by a
leadership has
landslide,
turned into a
her tenure
political
has become
thriller, but
far
not
more
in the way
chaotic
she
than
liked.
anyone could have imagined.
After
Her
winning
support
her
has plummeted
first
to an
term by a
all-time low.
landslide,
Down
her
to a mere
tenure has
3%
spiraled
just
into
recently.
unprecedented
During a
chaos.
massive blizzard, Henyard's
Her
handling of the
support
snow
has
removal
plummeted to
situation
an
was
all-time low,
nothing short of
down
disastrous.
to a mere 3%.
While Dalton was buried
Just
under feet of
recently,
snow,
her
businesses
handling
were
of a
forced
massive
closed,
blizzard was
and
nothing
residents were
short
left
of
stranded.
disastrous.
Meanwhile,
While
Henyard
Dalton
posted
was buried
selfies on
under
social
feet of
media
snow,
and blamed the weather for a
businesses were
failure to
forced
act.
to shut down.
For days,
and residents
the
were
town
left
was paralyzed
stranded.
by snow while the mayor's efforts to
Meanwhile,
resolve the situation
Henyard
were,
was busy
let's just
posting
say,
selfies on
less than
social
stellar,
media
but that's
and
just one of the
blaming the
many
weather
issues
for her
plaguing his
failure to
administration.
act.
Henyard
For
holds not
days,
one but two
the
political
town was
jobs,
paralyzed,
collecting
while
paychecks
the
from two
mayor's
public payrolls
response
as the
was,
mayor of Dalton
to put it
and as a public
mildly,
official in
less
South
than
suburban
stellar.
Cook County.
But that
She's been
just
traveling
one of the
around
many
making hollow
issues
promises
plaguing
and
her
empty
administration.
gestures, trying to curry favor with
Henyard
local
holds
churches.
not one but two
All while her
political
town
positions,
continues to spiral into
collecting
dysfunction. Residents
paychecks
are
from
angry.
both as mayor of
Businesses are
Dalton and as a
struggling,
public
and
official
trust in
in
Henyard
South
is
suburban
completely
Cook County.
evaporated. One local even
Instead
compared
of
her to a
focusing
South
on her
American
town-esque
dictator,
growing
pointing out that
dysfunction,
her face is
she has
plastered
been
everywhere
making
in
hollow
town,
promises
much
to
like the
local
notorious
churches in
Nicolas
an
Maduro
attempt to curry
in
favor.
Venezuela. But it
All
gets
while
worse.
businesses
A
struggle,
preliminary analysis
residents
by former
grow
Chicago
angrier,
Mayor Lori Lightfoot
and trust
has
in her
uncovered
leadership
shocking
evaporates.
financial
One
mismanagement
resident
within
even
Henyard's
likened her to a
administration.
South American
According to Lightfoot's
dictator,
report,
pointing out
Henyard
that her
used village
face is
credit cards
plastered
for
all
personal
over
purchases
town,
at
much
Amazon,
like Nicolas
Target,
Maduro in
Walgreens, and
Venezuela.
Wayfair,
And it gets
racking up a
worse.
bill that raises serious red
A preliminary
flags.
financial
total,
review led by
the village is
former
missing over
Chicago Mayor
$3.6
Lori
million. Stay
Lightfoot
tuned,
uncovered
because
shocking
we're about to dive into the
mismanagement
utter
in
chaos that
Henyard's
is Dalton,
administration.
Illinois, and its so-called
According
super
to
mayor,
Lightfoot's
Tiffany
report,
Henyard. She has become a
Henyard used
walking,
village
talking
credit
reality
cards
TV
for
disaster.
personal
And
purchases
it's all
at
unfolding
Amazon,
right before
Target,
our eyes.
Walgreens,
Henyard's
and
campaign
Wayfair,
for re-election has
racking
hardly
up a
been
bill
about
that
engaging
raises
with
serious
voters
red
or
flags.
focusing on the issues that matter.
In total,
Instead,
the village is
she's been
missing
giving
over
away thousands of turkeys
$3.6
right
million.
before
Like a misspending of tax funds. I think that's the biggest. That's
The situation in Dalton continues to unravel,
and the most
and the
alarming,
most alarming
aspect
development is the
officers
involvement
have
of
been actively
federal
investigating
authorities
the
in
town,
investigating Mayor
particularly focusing
Tiffany
on Tiffany
Henyard's
Henyard's
administration.
Federal agencies
Federal
have been
agencies have been requesting
bank
bank
data and
records and other crucial
raising the
financial
stakes
data,
for Henyard.
raising
This
the
isn't just
stakes
about a re-election
significantly.
campaign anymore.
This is
It's
no
a
longer
desperate attempt
just
to keep
about a
herself out of
re-election
jail.
campaign,
If
it's
these
about Henyard
investigations
desperately
reveal criminal
trying to
behavior,
keep herself
the
out of
consequences
jail.
could be severe.
If these
Federal
investigations
investigations can take
uncover
anywhere from a
criminal
couple of months to
activity,
several years.
the
But for
consequences
Henyard,
could be severe.
this timeline could spell the
Federal
end of her
probes
political
can
career.
take months or
And
even
much more
years,
Henyard's leadership
but
style
for
has
Henyard,
been nothing short
this
of
could mark
disastrous.
the end of her
With her
political
financial
career and
mismanagement
much
and the
more.
looming presence of
Henyard's
federal authorities
leadership has
further
been nothing
highlighting
short
the
of
instability
disastrous,
surrounding her
plagued
tenure.
by financial
She's infamous for her
mismanagement,
explosive
erratic
temper and
decision-making,
frequent tense
and growing
interactions with the
instability.
board and residents.
She
One
is
particularly
notorious for
bizarre
her
incident occurred
explosive
during a
temper
town
and
council
frequent
meeting,
clashes with
where
both the
Henyard
town
dressed up
board
as
and
Nino
residents.
Brown, the notorious drug
One
kingpin from the
particularly
movie New
bizarre
Jack
incident
City.
occurred
To
during
make
a
matters
town
even
council
stranger,
meeting when she
had a
dressed up
DJ
as
play,
Nino Brown,
Ransom be better
the
raid my
infamous
money
drug
as part of the
kingpin from
spectacle.
New Jack
This
City.
impulsive and erratic behavior
To make
has left
matters
many
even
residents
stranger,
bewildered and
she
disheartened.
had a DJ
Her
play Better
unpredictable
Have My
attitude
Money
toward
as part
governance
of the
and her apparent
spectacle.
disregard for basic
This kind of
professionalism have only
impulsive and
deepened the
erratic
dysfunction within the
behavior has
town
left
local
residents
businesses.
bewildered
In
and
particular,
disheartened.
have been
Beyond the
feeling the brunt of
theatrics,
Henyard's erratic
Henyard's
actions.
governance
Many
has
have
severely
reported difficulties
impacted local
obtaining essential
businesses.
permits and licenses
Many
under her
entrepreneurs
administration.
have reported
A notable
difficulties
example is Lawrence
obtaining
Gardner,
essential
a
permits
trucking
and
firm
licenses
owner,
under her
who claimed that
administration.
Henyard shut down his business
One
after he
notable
refused to
example
make
is
significant
Lawrence
contributions
Gardner,
to her
a
campaign.
trucking company
This story
owner
is
who
far from
claimed
unique,
that Henyard
as
shut
other
down his
residents have shared
business after
similar
he
experiences
refused continues to make large contributions to her campaign. His story is not unique. Other residents have shared similar experiences of harassment, intimidation, discrimination, and political retaliation. As a result, economic growth in Dalton has stagnated, with businesses shutting down and residents leaving in search of better opportunities. Town council meetings have become increasingly chaotic, often ending prematurely due to the absence of key trustees like Chris Gonzalez and Carmen Carlisle.
Frustrated and angry,
when meetings do take place, they are filled with frustrated residents demanding answers.
And it's easy to see
Public trust in Henyard has completely eroded. Many have called her tenure a disgrace and questioned why she has not yet resigned. The situation has only worsened as Henyard faces mounting accusations of financial mismanagement. Trustees have accused her of recklessly spending taxpayer money and overstepping her authority. Board meetings have had to be moved to larger venues due to the sheer number of residents showing up to voice their concerns. These disputes have become so frequent and intense that they now define daily life in Dalton, underscoring the deeply fractured relationship between Henyard and the community she was elected to serve. Once seen as a promising leader, Henyard's tenure has devolved into chaos. Her inability to bridge the growing divide between herself and the town has left many wondering how much longer Dalton can sustain this level of dysfunction before it reaches a breaking point. The town desperately needs leadership that can restore confidence, but under Henyard, that seems increasingly out of reach. Her handling of public finances is another source of controversy. While Dalton struggles with debt, Henyard has been accused of using taxpayer money for lavish parties and personal indulgences. One particularly shocking example is a party that reportedly cost $85,000 and featured performances by rapper Jay Holiday and R&B singer Keith Wyatt, all while the town faced financial hardships. Adding to the irony, Henyard has also been sued by her landlord for unpaid rent, allegedly owing thousands of dollars.
We are not able to pay
this raises serious questions. How can someone who can't even manage their personal finances be trusted to oversee an entire town's budget? Henyard's leadership has become a cautionary tale of unchecked power and the dangers of poor governance. Her tenure has been marked by scandals, financial irresponsibility, and a blatant disregard for the needs of her constituents. Instead of focusing on serving the people of Dalton, she appears more concerned with holding on to power. The legal and political fallout surrounding Henyard continues to escalate. A Cook County court has already overturned several of her key appointments, including Michael Smith's appointment as executive assistant and special counsel,
Another point out
Henyard's
refusal to listen to reason.
These legal setbacks only further expose the dysfunction within her administration. As the controversy continues to grow, the people of Dalton must ask themselves, how much longer can they endure this chaos? How much longer will they tolerate a mayor whose actions have repeatedly failed the community? The clock is ticking, and the demand for change is louder than ever. Dalton deserves better.
Schedule board meetings. I don't care if you agree or disagree, but you must show up to say yes or no.
Let's take a moment to examine the thought-provoking feedback shared by YouTube followers who have been closely following the ongoing developments surrounding Tiffany Henyard's leadership in Dalton. One insightful commenter pointed out that Henyard's victory in the last election was won by just a few hundred votes, an observation that highlights the power dynamics at play in the town. This narrow margin underscores how much influence the people of Dalton hold in determining their future. If enough residents unite and mobilize in large numbers, they have the potential to demand change in leadership and remove Henyard, whom many now view as a disastrous mayor. This provides a glimmer of hope for those who are disillusioned with their leadership and are ready for a shift in governance. Another commenter raised a valid frustration regarding the lack of accountability from higher authorities, particularly questioning why senior officials have allowed Henyard's mismanagement to continue unchecked for so long. This is an important concern and speaks to a broader issue within the Illinois political system: the failure of oversight. It is difficult to understand why a town like Dalton, which has been embroiled in controversy and dysfunction for years, has not received any significant intervention from state or federal authorities. The fact that Henyard's financial mismanagement, legal battles, and governance failures have continued without meaningful oversight only deepens the public's distrust in the political system. The absence of intervention raises questions about the effectiveness of the checks and balances meant to safeguard against mismanagement. It also exposes the larger systemic issues that plague Illinois politics. Residents of Dalton are left wondering why no one has stepped in to address the growing concerns about Henyard's leadership, further fueling their disillusionment with the political establishment. The lack of meaningful intervention and accountability has eroded the community's faith in their elected officials and calls into question the very framework of governance that is supposed to ensure responsible management of public resources. In addition to these concerns, another issue has emerged in nearby Thornton Township that has further exacerbated community frustration. A significant local business, which could have provided a major economic boost to the area, hit a roadblock not due to weather or logistical challenges, but because two trustees refused to do their part in moving the process forward. This paints a disturbing picture of a town caught in political gridlock, where leadership, whether driven by personal agendas or sheer incompetence, seems unable or unwilling to take the necessary actions to foster progress. The failure of these trustees to act on behalf of the community reflects a broader issue of dysfunction in Dalton, where petty political games and personal agendas often take precedence over the needs of the people. In a town where residents already face numerous challenges, the inability of local leadership to work together and make decisions that benefit the community only adds to the growing sense of frustration and helplessness. This issue is not just about bad governance, it's a symptom of a larger political culture that prioritizes personal power over progress and neglects the very constituents leaders are supposed to serve. The failure of leadership to move Dalton forward is further compounded by the ongoing scandals and legal battles surrounding Henyard's administration. With decisions being delayed, obstructed, or outright ignored, residents are left wondering whether their town will ever break free from the cycle of inefficiency and corruption. The current state of affairs underscores a critical need for true leadership, leaders who are willing to put the needs of the community above their own personal interests and who are capable of making the tough decisions necessary to ensure progress. Unfortunately, under Henyard's leadership, such leadership has been sorely lacking. Increasing public dissatisfaction with Henyard's administration, coupled with the failure of leadership to address pressing issues, has further eroded trust in elected officials. From the ongoing mismanagement of funds to constant legal disputes and a lack of transparency, Dalton is in desperate need of a shift in leadership. The people have spoken, and they are ready for change. However, whether that change will come in time to undo the damage done remains uncertain. The broader question now is whether the political system in Dalton will undergo the necessary transformation to ensure better oversight and more accountable leadership, or whether the town will continue to spiral further into dysfunction, leaving its residents stuck in a cycle of ineptitude and failed governance. As the next election approaches, the stakes could not be higher for Dalton's future. The pressure is mounting on Henyard, and her attempts to cling to power have become increasingly desperate. Her re-election campaign, once seen as an opportunity for a fresh start, now appears to be a last-ditch effort to avoid the inevitable consequences of her actions. The odds are undeniably stacked against her. Her administration has been defined by scandals, legal battles, and a string of failures that have left residents frustrated and disillusioned. From the ongoing FBI investigation into her administration to the public outcry over her mismanagement of funds and poor governance, Henyard's tenure has become a case study in political mismanagement. The situation has deteriorated to the point where even some of her former political allies have begun to distance themselves from her as evidence of her incompetence continues to mount. The question now is not whether Henyard will continue to hold office, but whether she can somehow pull off the unthinkable and secure re-election despite overwhelming opposition and public dissatisfaction. With each passing day, her political future appears to be slipping further out of reach. Even her attempts to hold on to power through extravagant PR stunts and political maneuvering have failed to stem the tide of opposition. The tipping point seems to be fast approaching. The people of Dalton are no longer willing to accept the status quo. They have had enough of the constant scandals, legal battles, and broken promises that have characterized Henyard's time in office. Her political downfall seems almost inevitable at this point. The mounting frustration from the community, the growing legal pressure, and the continued public outrage make it increasingly unlikely that she will be able to weather the storm. Her campaign for re-election appears to be little more than a desperate attempt to stave off the inevitable. But even if she somehow manages to secure another term, the damage to her reputation and the public's trust in her leadership may be irreparable. The question now is not whether Henyard's time in office will come to an end but when. The people of Dalton have made it clear that they are ready for change. They are tired of the incompetence, the corruption, and the endless cycle of mismanagement that has defined Henyard's tenure. Whether Henyard will be able to secure re-election or whether the mounting pressure from the public and the ongoing FBI investigation will ultimately bring her down remains to be seen. However, one thing is clear: the time for change in Dalton is long overdue. As the FBI investigation continues and public outrage grows, the pressure on Henyard only intensifies. It seems increasingly unlikely that she will be able to weather the storm. The tipping point is fast approaching, and it remains to be seen whether she can turn things around or if the weight of her failures will finally lead to her downfall. What is certain, however, is that the people of Dalton are ready for a new direction. They are no longer willing to accept the endless cycle of mismanagement and scandal that has come to define Henyard's time in office. As the next election draws closer, the future of Dalton hangs in the balance. Will the residents rise up and demand the change they deserve, or will they continue to be stuck in a cycle of scandal and mismanagement that has plagued their town for far too long? Only time will tell. But the growing dissatisfaction among the people of Dalton makes it clear that change is not just needed, it is inevitable.